Hey, how's it going? Brian from PB&J here. Today I thought I'd do something different from our podcast that we've been putting out the past few months. And I thought I'd do a side solo project and spend a little bit of time to talk about a game that I have been playing for the past month. And that game is Monster Hunter World. That game has been such a really good find for me because it's something refreshing, something I've never played before. Even though I have Monster Hunter 3 on the DS, it was too hard to pick up. The screen was too small, and it was hard to find people to play with. So this version of the game, Monster Hunter World, is a great introduction for people who have never played it, and their success shows by the number of copies that have been sold in the millions. And I've got my brother playing it, and he loves it too. And I just want to give a little bit of background for me before going into more about this game. I'm a avid Destiny player. I've been playing Destiny 1 and 2 from day one, and I've probably spent close to 1,500 or 2,000 hours in both games combined. But as everyone know, for all the hardcore Destiny fans, it's it's been a lot difficult to kind of for us players to go back and play because there's nothing really new for us. They're doing a great job fixing the game right now, and we'll see how it goes in the next major update in the coming weeks, and then their next DLC coming out in May. But I don't want to talk too much about Destiny. I just wanted to bring that up just to give you all an idea of the games I've been playing recently. I mean, on the pod, I've talked about playing Mario Odyssey and things like that too. But right now, Monster Hunter World is a game that's consuming most of my time, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed every single minute of it. And as you can see, I've put in over 100 hours in the game, and my hunter rank is 49 right now. And I'll get into the hunter rank a little bit later on. But instead of an initial review, I thought I'd do a long-term review instead of just giving my initial reactions when, day one of playing the game. Because if I were to do that, my review would probably be different from what it is now, because I had no exposure to this game prior. So, and I'll get all into this because, just to keep it short for now, the game is very hard to get into as a newcomer because there's so much going on in there. And yeah, so let's get into it. For those of you who have never played a game but have heard about it or seen screenshots of the game, you will know that the game is a game where you, the player, hunts giant monsters, and the game is pretty much just a boss fight game. And that's one of the great things about it. There's no fighting, you don't get dropped off onto a map and then you fight your way to a boss. You start by landing at a camp and you start hunting for it by following their footprints, and then it'll lead you to the monster. And as you gain more experience hunting the same monster, the game makes it a lot easier for you to hunt them down and track them much faster than before, where you had to spend a few hours leveling up their scent, like tracking them down. And the other great thing is the amount of weapons that are in the game. There's 14 in total, and each weapon gives the game its own unique play style. So it's not like a first-person shooter where you're shooting a different types of gun, but in the end you're still shooting a gun. The play style is very much more or less the same. The damage output, the reload time may be different, but with the weapons in Monster Hunter, the weapons it changes completely. I mean, you can go from a ranged weapon like a bow to a close-up weapon like the dual blades, and a heavy hitting weapon like a hammer or a charge blade. So any of these weapons will give you a different experience of a whole new game, of the same game, but the playstyle just makes it a brand new game altogether, which is pretty amazing. I'm not aware of any other games like that. I'm sure they are out there, but this is the first one I've experienced where I've spent some time playing with different weapons, and the outcome of the weapons are completely different from something else that I've used before. So that makes the game gives it a lot more legs. You can play it longer by experimenting with different weapons, and the grind in the game is just rewarding. You get all these different parts from the monsters that you hunt. You carve out their bodies as your reward. So they leave you with some time after a fight to carve out the monster, which makes it a little bit more fun. You don't just stand there and end the mission and then you just pick up loot or you open a chest. With this one, you have to actually go there and hit a button to carve the monster, which makes it a little bit fun. And it's very easy to party. They have a system where everyone who's playing the game, they're in town. They post a quest onto a bulletin board, a virtual bulletin board. I'm doing air quotes. And anyone who you want to be seen, anyone out there who wants to join you, they can just jump in the game at any time once you've started the quest. You don't have to matchmake ahead of time before launching into the quest. It helps if you do, but once you're in, you can just run around and do whatever you need to do, and people will jump in and out. I mean, most people, once they jump in, they're going to stay with you. And the quest, it can go up to 40 minutes to an hour, depending on the monster you're fighting. But once you get more experience in the game, you can just jump in with a party, kill a monster in 10 to 15 minutes, jump out, and you may never see them again, but you can always add them as a friend. But the way the game is designed is just so easy to jump in and out of a party. Makes it so much funner to just look at a board, pick the missions you want to play, kill the monsters you need for crafting a weapon or an armor. So that's the great thing about it. But because the game is so feature rich, there's so many things to do there. For someone inexperienced like me, it's very overwhelming. So the moment you load up the game, you get dropped off on at the beginning of the game on the island. The menu system is just so complicated. There's text everywhere. It doesn't explain that much. Things are hard to find. Once you get dropped off, they kind of handhold you a little bit, which I'm already told this is the best that they've done tutorial wise. There's little videos for each tutorial that they show you that's new that you can always play back, but it's still very complicated. I've probably spent the first week or two just looking around the menus, experimenting with things, looking on YouTube. And don't get me wrong, there's tons of information out there on the internet, especially on YouTube. There's a lot of guys out there that are putting out great video, going over how to use different weapons, how the game works, techniques on how to play and everything like that. But the thing, the resource I used that helped me the most was by visiting adoptahunter.org and signing up as a newbie. So those of you who have not heard about it, before the game launched, someone started a site called adoptahunter.org where vets are paired up with a newbie to kind of walk them through the game, answer any questions they have, just by signing up, and they'll match the person to you based on your console that you're playing the game on, your time zone, how much experience you have, and so on and so on. If you're on Discord, so you guys can reach out and chat. So I did that. So I signed up. It took me about a week before I got paired up with someone who was super nice. He told me that he played a game for over 1,000 hours. He said he played almost all the Monster Hunter games. Very experienced, and we set a time. We jumped on the game together, and I had a long list of questions for him, like when you're at the smithy where you craft your weapons. I asked him about almost every single line that's on the menu, and plus a lot of other things too. And he was able to give me a lot of great explanation for everything, and it made it a lot much easier than for me to just go online and look it up. And then we went out on one of the quests, and he just showed me like his setup and like a lot of combo. I was using dual blades at the time. I still am. That's still my favorite weapon so far. So he also that was his main weapon as well. So he was able to show me how to do combos and things like that. And we were playing for about 3 to 4 hours, and we've probably spent like 10 hours just chatting on Discord back and forth randomly whenever I had a question, and he was always there to answer my questions. So it was a great experience. I'm sure other vets who are helping the other newbies are getting a very similar experience as well. So I urge you, if you guys are new to the game, check out adoptahunter.org and just sign up, and that will save you probably 20 to 30 hours of figuring things out on your own. And it's nice to just meet someone, in the community as well. I mean, you can always, if you get better in a game, you can always pass it forward and help out someone new that comes along. So awesome resource. I'm really glad they put that out there. Like, people in the community are so generous to do something like this. Awesome stuff. So those are my, dislikes, and they're very minor. Once I've got paired up and I did a lot of research and had my questions answered, the game is just like awesome from that point on. And take a look at the monsters. Like, they're huge, they're detailed, they're scary. They all have their own combo, like their own style of attacks. Whenever they roar, they have their own voice, and if you play the game loud or with headphones, it just sounds amazing. The sound quality on it, and so also the other good thing is, like, ever since the game launched, they've been launching with these crossover costumes. So they started with Horizon, Aloy from Horizon, and they made a little costume for the Palico too, which is your little cat that helps you. They have a Watcher costume for the Palico, and an Aloy costume for your player. And then a few weeks later, they launched a Ryu costume. So awesome stuff. And then in April, next month, just in a few weeks, they are going to put out a 8-bit Mega Man, which is going to look super cheesy, but it's going to be hilarious. It's going to be awesome. And then later this year, they are going to announce Dante from Devil May Cry. So that character just fits in the game perfectly with his guns. I don't know if they're going to introduce guns as a weapon later on, but his blade and his costume is going to be amazing in Monster Hunter. So I'm looking forward to it. And they're always running these events almost weekly. And the great thing is when you log in, you get a login bonus item, which is cool. Kind of hooks you back in every day to get something. And they also have a little like bulletin board once you log into town of events and activities that are limited time that's shown to you once you log in. So it's always there. It only takes one button press to get rid of it, and it keeps the game fresh. So awesome stuff. For those of you who have a PS4 Pro like I do, I can't comment on the Xbox One X because I don't have it, so I can't really compare. But on the Pro systems, they added an option to prioritize the game by frame rate or by resolution. And I think there's a third option. I forget what it is, so I apologize for that. But I've played around with both of those, frame rate and graphics, and I highly recommend, if you have a Pro, even if you have a 4K TV like I do, play with the prioritized frame rate. To me, the graphics still looks the same. It's very similar still, but the way you move and the way the monster move is much more fluid. And I believe that's how the game should be played, because in this game, if you're using weapons where you have to chain combos, you want to have the frame rate there. I've tried playing it by prioritizing the graphics, and it does get a little bit choppy sometimes when the monster starts moving around like pretty actively and you're swinging and there's like 3 other players on the screen and they're doing their own thing. So that can take a hit on the performance if you prioritize the graphics. So I highly recommend prioritizing the frame rate. They may blur out the background while you're hitting the monster, but it's when you're attacking it, that's really all you notice anyway. So I highly recommend prioritizing the frame rate, and if you guys do, you'll thank me for it. It looks so much better. So as I mentioned earlier, I've played a game for over 100 hours. And I'm at the Hunter rank 49, which is a cap where you have to do a quest to unlock it, which by now I've done it. So the next level cap is at 100. That means I'm only halfway to hitting the Hunter rank 100. But I've seen people out there like whose rank are like over 300. I mean, that's insane. They're either very efficient at killing monsters or they just spend tons of time playing it. So I've rolled credits already. Once I got into hour 80, which is probably very slow for some people out there who probably finished it in less time than that. But I took my time playing it. There's still tons of things to do, and I can easily see myself playing the game for another 100 hours at least. And at the time of recording, it's like late March. So by the time like the next big games are out, like God of War, I think I can jump onto God of War and play that for 30, 40 hours, whatever it may be. But I can easily see myself jumping back in and playing Monster Hunter World. So this is like the kind of game I can just keep continuing to go back to. And I'll mention Destiny again a little bit, but when their DLC launches in May, I'll most likely just play through the story and do the raid once and play a little bit more after that and probably move on after that. I mean, I don't need to get into the details of where the game is at, but my point is, like, this game is Monster Hunter World is a game that's like that you can easily drop 1,000 hours into. I mean, a lot of the dedicated fans who play the game, they've spent thousands of hours playing it. So I even read an article a few days ago where a Japanese pop star plays Monster Hunter like all the time, and she's logged in about 700 hours by now, and she's a pop star. So imagine like someone like me or any regular player who love the game, they can easily surpass that, I'm guessing. So there's still a lot of miles in the game. They're always adding new content. So it's a game that everyone should check out. I highly recommend it. I'm not going to give it a score, but if you're into games where you're fighting giant bosses, don't mind a grind system, which is very rewarding, by the way, then this is the type of game for you. So check it out and enjoy. So let me know what you guys think about this type of review, this long-term review, and just leave a comment. Thanks.